Hello, my name is Professor John Aubert, and I want to welcome you to the fully online asynchronous weather and climate class, Geography 306 at American River College for the spring 2026 semester. I'm excited that you've decided to join this class, and I want you to know the most important thing is that I love teaching this stuff and that I am here for your success. I want you to put in maximum effort, and I want you to learn, and I want to do whatever is in my power to help you. So really quick, before we go any further in this little orientation video, I want to make it clear that you need to write down the 5-letter code that I am going to be sharing with you because you will need it at the end to continue moving on through the rest of this orientation. Um, so I want you to write these down. It's all uppercase letters, all capitalized, and it starts with the letter S. I hope you have a super time in this class. The letter S is the first letter in the code. So please write that down. Um, my job here is to make sure that you have just enough information to really jump into this class headlong and enjoy it and learn from it. We are, as the title of the class implies, going to study the Earth's weather and climate. It's a fascinating subject matter. We're going to look at storm and rains. We're going to try to focus on California, but look at events that happen around the world. In this case, you can see up here a massive hurricane. So we'll learn about tornadoes, and we'll learn about hail, and we'll learn about thunder and lightning, and on and on and on. It's personally, to me, quite fascinating. It's relevant to California, um, and I'm excited about the subject matter. Having said that, we're going to jump into the syllabus in a second, and then we're going to look at Canvas so that you know how to navigate this class and roughly what I expect from you. Of course, if you have any questions, write them down um, so that you can reach out to me and get more information and get clarification. So first thing to do is let's jump over to our syllabus. This was emailed to you. This is in several places on our Canvas class. This is on my publicly available website. And it is essentially a document that is a contract between you and I that we've agreed to. You can hold me to the syllabus. I can hold you to the syllabus. I am not going to read the entire thing by any stretch of the imagination. You need to read it. You need to keep close track of it because, again, it's kind of the set of expectations and rules for the entire class. So um, this is important contact information for me up here. In particular, these student hours. These are every single week. I am available at these times. Sometimes it's in person if you happen to be near American River College, but at least 3 times a week. I'm at the other end of this link on a Zoom call. Or if you want to arrange a different time, it doesn't work for you. Um, during these times posted here, then you can arrange a different time and we can talk on the phone. Yeah, what do you need to be prepared? Read this. What is required for this class? Read this. There is a detailed information about the textbook. The library at American River may have further resources about the textbook. They also may have available to you a PDF of some of the first chapters. So the library tries to work with me and with you to make as much available as possible. So please read all this. What are you expected to learn? These statements are exactly what you're supposed to learn if you put in the effort. What is required in this class? Here are all the assignments and the exact point breakdown. There's exams, quizzes, discussions, and so forth. Now, as far as a grade, my policy is pretty straightforward. I do a straight percentage scale. I'm not trying to trick students, but you have to put in the effort and earn the points. To get an A, it's 450 points minimum. That will get you an A. But in this case, there's one other expectation. I have some separate homework assignments, and you have to complete all of the 4 required homeworks if you want the A. So students who got 450 and skipped some homework, I will not give them an A. I will reduce their grade to a B. And that's just because I'm not going to, if students are skipping what I think is an important assignment, I'm not going to go ahead and give them an A. So just please keep that in mind. And that's what this critical warning is all about. So how do you grade notification, participation? I expect you to participate. Please note, this is an online class, but it is asynchronous. So there are not weekly hours that you are required to show up. What I like to say is, I set the pace, I assign assignments, you set your schedule during the day, in the middle of the night, in the evening, whatever it takes, but I set the pace, I set due dates, you set the schedule. And I am able through Canvas to see how much you're logged in, to see what you're turning in, and a number of other metrics. So there is extra credit. Please read this now as opposed to later, as opposed to May. It probably won't do you any good. Some of these, like the last two, are automatic. You have control over possibly how much you get, but these are automatic. We can talk more about these later. Extra credit homework is really important for some people, so I'll show you where that is. And then there is a Zoom or a phone check-in. This is basically an office visit during the times that I listed on this first page. And you don't have to have anything to say to me. You don't have to have any questions or anything. You can simply show up and I'll have some stuff to talk about. But you get extra credit on the very first time that you visit. So you can meet with me a bunch of times, but you only get extra credit on the first time. So please keep that in mind. I love to have students come visit me and come check in. It's basically it's good to get in the habit of networking. Before I go any further, let me give you the second letter in the code. The second letter is the letter E as in elephant. E as in elephant. So please write these down. And there are exams. I take exams very seriously, and I take missing exams very seriously. So please keep that in mind. If you miss an exam based on the schedule that I've set, then you need to get a hold of me right away. Some students aren't really receiving my notifications. They don't read my emails, which is horrible for an online class. And they're like, "Oh, I forgot, I missed it. I didn't know there was an exam." That is, in my humble opinion, would be atrocious for one of my online students to not know that there was an exam. So please, I'm going to talk to you about how you can keep up to speed and up to date, but missing an exam is very serious business. There are a series of quizzes, basically one per week, and you can take them multiple times, but here's the deal. You have to take them once and get at least 80% before it lets you move on to the next item, which is every week is a discussion. So people tell me, "Oh, I can't get to the discussion. I can't get to the discussion." And it is simply because they did not take the quiz and score at least 80%. So definitely please keep that in mind. Okay. So we'll talk more about the discussions later, but homeworks, there are a series of homeworks and they're all posted on Canvas. It's all listed and described here. The first 4 homeworks are the required ones. Nobody has to do the extra credit, but the first 4 are required. And if you skip one of those, you are not eligible for an A in my class. There are these things called check-in quizzes that I give, and they are required. But basically, you're answering some questions about how the class is going and what happens to be noteworthy to you personally, what's memorable, what are you learning that you find interesting. Simple questions, very valuable to me to understand my students' perspective. You get 2 points for doing it, but if you, you get 3 points for doing it. If you totally blow it off and skip it, there's a 2-point deduction. So they appear after you take an exam. So these check-in quizzes, there'll be 4 total. It's an easy way to get extra credit, but please don't skip them. Um, Late assignment policy. This is incredibly generous. Um, Now, let me say late assignments automatically get a 0 because I have Canvas set to give you a 0, which is kind of like a warning, a reminder. Oh, you skipped an assignment. Something happened. You need to go back and do those. There is a late penalty, which is really small. It's 5% per day, but let's say it's a 10-point assignment. 5% is a half point out of 500 points. This is not much. Um, but there's a 5% per day, not to exceed 30% maximum. And I let you turn things in all the way until May 20th. I don't want to be taken advantage of, but I know things happen. Students have lives and have distractions. So here's the deal. If you miss an assignment, you have an automatic extension. You do not need to ask. I don't want you really to reach out to me unless there's some personal issue that you need to connect with me. But if you simply waited too long, you didn't turn it in, I'll still accept it. You get a 0. Once you do it, it'll turn into whatever grade you earned. But there is a small penalty per day for 6 days. And then after 6 days, I don't keep adding on new penalty. So again, if it's a 10-point assignment, you can still get 7 points, which is way better than 0 points. So another important thing is that I do not allow these late penalties to cause someone to get a D or an F. So if late penalties are the only thing between you and earning a passing C in my class, then I will delete the late penalties so you can get your passing C. But if you want to be, then you need to be the one to do the work and not turn in stuff constantly late. If you want an A, you need to be the one to get across the finish line and get the A. So please keep that in mind. Then lots of fine print. I want you to read all this. You're expected to put in at least 10 hours a week. Again, there's a lot of things here. I want to get all the way down to cheating, plagiarism, and this thing says anybody who passes off work which is not your own, so somebody else did the work for you, which includes any text generated using any type of artificial intelligence. I do not allow students to turn into me to submit AI generated work, generative AI. And we'll talk more about this. I have many assignments and my discussions for the class are based on content that I provide, generally my lecture notes and my lecture videos. And so if people are simply Googling and using an AI generated assignment, then in all likelihood, that cheating that you're engaged in is going to give an answer which is way beyond the scope of what I'm asking for. So I start to read through answers and suddenly you're talking about stuff that I never went over in my class. So that's one of the many different ways that I have to determine whether or not students are cheating. I simply want you to do the work. I want you to give me your thoughts, your opinions, your analysis. That is how we learn. So if I have not been clear, let me be clear one more time. I do not accept any type of generated text from an AI source as work. And I will analyze your answers to determine, and then again, I'll have to respond accordingly if I have students who are doing that. So, I'm assuming you're in college, you want to learn. That is what I am hoping is the case. So anyway, let me keep moving. All sorts of other fine print. We get down here to students who might be interested in geography. You can major in it. You can get a job in it. You can get advanced degrees in it. It's pretty fascinating stuff. I'd love to reach out to students who are interested in geography or maybe weather and climate in specific. So yeah, definitely let me know. I'm going to give you the next letter in the code. This is the third letter in the code. The letter is C as in cat. C as in I have 3 cats at home. Um, so that is the third letter in the code. Please write that down. And then finally, the last page of this syllabus is a course schedule which is basically a detailed accounting of everything that is assigned to you, everything that is expected of you in this class. And all the due dates, the times are all listed here. When we get over to Canvas, you're going to see that I have basically used exactly what we're looking at here to build the Canvas class and to include all the due dates. So you even have little check boxes here for showing that you completed certain things. So I encourage you to consider using this. I would print this page out if I were you and post it somewhere so that you have it as a constant view available to you. So please, again, keep this in mind. This is exactly what's expected of you. Um, and as I said, I use this syllabus, specifically this last page, to build all of the content on our Canvas page. So this is what our Canvas page looks like. This is the link, which clearly, since you're looking at this video, you've already clicked on this link and started jumping into this orientation. Couple of things really quick about how this works. How I use Canvas. One of the things is that I notice that students either don't know how or aren't getting notifications of certain important things. I want to be clear, you are expected to read every single email that I send. You are expected to read every single announcement that I put into Canvas. You are expected to read every single comment that I make on any assignment. And how do you make sure that you get all of that information? If you go to account, and again, my Canvas looks a little different than your Canvas, but they should all function pretty similarly. If you go to the account and then you click on notifications, you can set it for an individual class, by the way, or you can simply set it for your entire Canvas to receive notifications for everything. If you only want to do it for my class, then surf down and go find my class. But here's the deal. You absolutely have to make sure that you have notifications set up for announcements. So both of these, if your page looks like mine do, both of these should be green little bells. They shouldn't have slashes through them, whatever you do. And also submission comments. So if you go further down, you can set up other ones, but if you go down to submission comment, both of these should be marked. You need to know when I comment, because there are times when I comment and I say, oh, you haven't followed instructions. I've given you a 0, but here's how you can redo the assignment. And then I have students tell me, oh, you gave me a 0. I had no idea why. Well, I will let everybody know why they missed points, why they got a 0. So you need to go in and make sure you're receiving information from me. Make sure you're receiving submission comments and announcements, and also any email message that I send through the college's email system. So please keep that in mind. So I'm going to go back to our Canvas page. Here it is. The other important thing for you to consider with regard to my class and how I do my online classes is every single thing that you need is found under modules. Okay, is found under modules. Now, I assign quizzes, I assign discussions, I assign other homeworks, but I do not. I have disabled the links that take you straight to the quizzes because I don't want you to go straight to the quiz. I want you to go look at the module where I've set up all the resources that you need to look at before you take the quiz. So again, some professors do this differently. I'm just letting you know. I disable access to discussions because I want you to go find the discussion in modules. I disable access to the assignments because I want you to go find whatever assignment I assign within modules. Similarly, many of you use the to-do list, and something might show up on the to-do list, like a quiz. And then students say, oh, I couldn't get into the quiz, I couldn't get into the discussion. It's because you haven't done all the other things that are asked of you inside the modules. So I just want to be really clear. How do you know what's assigned for you each week? let me remind you, one of the ways is to use the syllabus. It says what things are assigned on what weeks. Sometimes I open stuff in advance, not always. Um, but you can always find the content you need in modules. So let me click on it. Um, and it looks like this. You happen to be working on this module right here, okay? And what I do is I try not to open too many things because it kind of freaks people out. So like right here, you're not seeing this yet, but when the first check-in is assigned, you will see this. I'll open it up and publish it. You have a module, which in this case, it's just really, it's like a folder with general information. It has the syllabus, information about the textbook inside there if you have further information. I'll leave that for a while, but then eventually I'll move it so that it's not in your way. Information about careers in geography, which includes careers in weather and climate and meteorology. So that's important. I always put that at the top of the page. And then what I do is I have two little text headers, lines of text, which I use to help you identify what has been assigned and what is due on any given week. This is like a 16-week class, and so on any given week, you will find this. It says the modules below this line are assigned and due this week. The modules found above this line are assigned and due this week. So this week, in addition to the orientation, which you're doing right now, this Unit 1, Module 1 is assigned and is due. Now, I notice in this case, I have opened up the next week's module. I have opened up the first map quiz, which you may want to jump in and start taking a look at. These are simple stuff, but turns out this isn't due until a week later. How would you know, by the way? Well, one of the ways you know is to use this page, because I tell you when everything's due, so I'm not hiding things from students. I have opened up the first homework, which is about ozone. So you can work ahead and do that, okay? But along here, you'll notice a lot of these are blank. They're not green dots. So what does that mean? I haven't opened those because I don't want to freak people out. I don't want people to spend too much time working ahead. I don't want to overwhelm people. So let me jump into a module and coach you a little bit about how a module works. And before I do that, I'm going to give you the next letter in the code. This is the fourth letter in the code, and that is the letter D for dog. The letter D for dog. I have one dog at my house. Okay, so here is something unique. Any module that looks like this, Unit 1, Module 1, Unit 2, Module 4, if it has a title that looks like this, that is basically what I call an instructional module, and it is the meat of the class. It is the basic content of the class. It includes everything you need, almost everything you need for the class. And you have to move through in order. In order. I am basically, you can read these instructions here. I'm paraphrasing what it says here. I have very specifically created it so that I want you to view things in the order that I have them in this module. Then you may move on to the next thing. So in this case, I put all of the notes and slides on a particular page. So you have access to them. There's the slides, and then when you get to the bottom, you have links to separate links to those. These happen to all be on Google Docs and Google Slides. And also let me say that regarding the lecture notes, these are very detailed. This is, again, the meat of the class, okay? I don't assign 10 chapters and just say good luck. I give you very specific lecture notes based on the readings, and I limit what you need to learn to the lecture notes and the lecture slides and the lecture videos. I want you to know, as I have made for you available, if you can make it to American River College, if you can send someone to American River College, you can pick up all of these lecture notes printed and ready to go for the entire class. It's like 100 pages for free if you read the instructions in the orientation module that you're working on right now. Okay, so I strongly advise you to get these lecture notes, but if you want to print them out yourself, you could also do that. You would simply go to the link on the bottom and you'd print them out just like you print out anything from the internet. Um, so that's important. These lecture notes in specific are important. I would strongly encourage you to find a printed copy somehow, some way. So then you hit next, and it will allow you to move through all of the items. These are the lecture videos. Um, what I would do if I were you is I would have your printed lecture notes on the side, and as you watch the lecture videos, I would use the lecture notes to circle things and underline things and highlight things and write questions and comments in the margin. I think would be the wisest thing for you to do. So video lectures, uh, again, you're expected to watch these. I try not to make them too long. They're not. It's not all like tiny TikTok videos, but they're not. You know, a normal class is an hour and 20 minutes that I would normally work with students. So it's not like an hour and 20-minute video. So you need to watch the videos. I monitor whether people are watching the videos. Then you click next. There's always a page called Video Extras, which has all kinds of fascinating stuff. You do not have to watch this, but these are basically extended videos covering stuff in more depth than I could possibly cover in class. So um, it's a very useful set of resources, which you should review, but you don't have to watch every single one. And then every single instructional module will have a quiz. So you have to get 80% or better. 80% or better. You may take it many, many, many times, but you have to get 80% or better on the quiz in order to move on to the next thing. And I do want to tell you the quiz has a bunch. Each time you take it, it gives you new questions. So it randomizes and it presents to you new questions. If you only take it once and get 100%, you have not remotely seen all of the possible sample questions. So I want you to know it's to your benefit if you want to do well on an exam to take the quiz many, many times. So once you get 80% or better, it lets you move on to the discussion. Okay, the discussion, it confuses a little people. It is purposely open-ended. Every time, every week you are asked to do a discussion, please keep in mind that what I am looking for is not you telling me what you learned. That is a red flag to me. If a student says, this week I learned blank, I want you to reflect on, to react to analyze, to give me your thoughts about the lecture notes and the lecture video. In fact, if you take notes while you are watching the lecture videos, you can almost build your discussion right there. Now, what I've tried to give you a little more specifics. You can ask a detailed follow-up question. Explain why you're asking the question. Explain what were you confused? Did you think one thing and then learn another? Okay, or you can make a detailed comment. Okay, something is weird or fascinating or surprising. Explain why. Um, and then it says, and or you can make a detailed connection to something else you have learned or experienced. Maybe you traveled somewhere. Maybe you saw a cloud in the sky. Maybe you watched something on Netflix. Maybe you read a book. This is not about having some exotic experiences and living through a hurricane. If you simply heard about it or read about it or saw something on social media, you can relate it to what was in the subject matter from that week. So again, it has to be based on, and it has to make multiple references to my lecture notes and my lecture videos. I need you to give me evidence that you went through and you watched and you considered and you thought about my lecture notes and my lecture videos. So when I read your discussion post, it needs to say something. And by the way, you also need to respond to another student. It doesn't need to be detailed. Your main discussion needs to be 3 or 4 college level excellent sentences at least. But when you respond to another student, it can be briefer. Okay, so this takes a little bit of getting used to. It's open-ended in a way that makes some students uncomfortable, but I want your original thoughts. I don't want AI thoughts. I want your original thoughts or reactions or responses or analysis to what you learned. Um, and what you saw and what you experienced as you went through the lecture notes and the lecture videos. And again, let me clarify that you can take notes while you're watching the lecture videos that will help you basically write the discussion. I wouldn't just simply watch it doing nothing and then wait until later hoping you remember things. I would take notes. Okay, so I've yacked on more than enough. Uh, let's see here, sorry. Let me go back to modules. Okay, so that was that Unit 1, Module 1. Um, uh, I have one more letter for you, which I'm not going to give you yet. So let me collapse these, close these, and I will be moving these text lines further down the page every time we open up new things. Um, And if you skip something, it'll still be there. If you skip the quiz and the discussion for one of these units, it'll still be there. But I'm going to move these further down as the weeks go on. And so um, you'll see, you know, I'm not going to open up the information about exam one. That's not for like 4 weeks, so I don't want to stress people out. But as I scroll down this page, there's a couple of things that are open here. One of them is this set of extra credit homeworks. And I strongly encourage you to look at these now and make a plan. If you wait till May, it's probably too late. But homework 5 online inbox, this is where you would turn in whatever you chose from this list down below. Homework 6 online inbox, this is where you would turn in whatever you chose to complete from the list below. Now, let me say this one thing. One of the reasons I bring this up is this thing called the Science Success Center. It's a separate class. I don't teach it. I'm not in charge of it. But if you sign up for the class, you can click there and find information. You have a one-on-one meeting with an instructional assistant. You have 6 of them for 30 minutes each. 6 meetings, 30 minutes each. Little bit of homework, and then if they tell me, yeah, you completed the class, then I give you double credit. I give you automatically full credit for homework 5 and homework 6 of these extra credit assignments. It's a pretty good deal. I want to say something about this is that what you do in this class is it teaches you how to be a good student in a science course. So it teaches you textbook reading skills, it teaches you study skills, it teaches you note-taking skills, it teaches you time management, and a number of other things. And so once they say you completed, they send me an email, and I go, great, thanks, and I go and I give you your credit. Um, so I'm looking at my list to make sure I've said everything I wanted to. Again, if something is open, you can work ahead, especially this first week. In addition to Unit 1, Module 1, you might want to jump and take a look at the map quiz. You might want to jump ahead and take a look at the homework. So that is how Canvas works. Um, of course, if you ever have questions, you just need to let me know. As I said, I'm here for you. I'm cheering for your success. Um, I'm always interested. I try to send notes out about current events. There's so many things constantly going on about the weather, but I will try to send out notes if I think something unusually noteworthy is happening. Um, this class, toward the end of this class, we will end up during the height, as we'll approach the height of tornado season toward the end of this class. And so spring is a very active time in North America for exciting stuff like tornadoes. Um, so the last letter in the code before we sign off here, the last letter in your 5-digit code is Z as in zoo, Z as in zebra. All right, well, let me say I'm excited to have you in this class. I'm sure I've forgotten something, but we will definitely connect. You'll be getting emails from me. I know you'll be reading all of my comments and feedback. And again, you don't hesitate to email me, connect with me if you have any questions or concerns. So I wish you the best of luck. And yeah, hopefully we'll meet you in person sometime. All right, take care.